The normalization of the UAE and Bahrain's relations with Israel could have major geopolitical implications for China. In response to the UAE and Israel's diplomatic deal, Beijing welcomed the accord but also emphasized the need to resolve the Palestinian issue. This cautious response was consistent with China's overall strategy for maintaining balanced vagueness and strategic ambiguity in many Middle Eastern conflicts. With respect to the Arab Gulf states opening ties with Israel, China sees both opportunities as well as risks, which helps explain the PRC's cautious response to the Abraham Accords. Beijing's main interest in the Middle East largely pertains to its Belt and Road Initiative, which requires stability in the region. Thus, if the Abraham Accords can help bring about peace in the region, China would see itself benefiting from the US brokered deals. Yet, if the diplomatic agreements further polarize the Middle East and lead to more conflicts and radicalization, Beijing would have much to lose in relation to BRI. China is particularly concerned about how the UAE and Bahrain's diplomatic agreements with the Jewish state could impact the Middle East's balance of power and leave Tehran more vulnerable to a strengthening anti-Iranian Gulf-Israeli coalition. Beijing seeks better diplomatic, economic, and military relations with the Islamic Republic, which the Abraham Accords could make more difficult for China to achieve. Nonetheless, Chinese officials are optimistic about future opportunities for their country to deepen cooperation with the Israelis and Emiratis in the spheres of technology and cybersecurity. With Beijing waging its own so-called war on terrorism in Xinjiang, the Chinese authorities acquiring surveillance technology from Israel and the Emirates would serve its own interests at home, while leading to stronger ties between China and these Middle Eastern countries. In the global picture, however, many analysts see the Abraham Accords as part of Washington's efforts to push back against Chinese clout in the Middle East. With the UAE and Israel having both grown closer to China in economic domains, the US has been increasingly concerned about Abu Dhabi and Tel Aviv's growing geo-economic proximity to Beijing. Although how the normalization of Gulf Arab states' ties with Israel impacts US-China competition in the Middle East remains unclear, both the UAE and the Jewish state will find themselves increasingly subjected to the impact of Washington and Beijing's rivalry.